Welcome everybody, welcome back to my site, Tomb of Illumination, and my Patreon if you like this sort of stuff, and you get way more information than what I reveal on YouTube. We go a lot deeper. I skim the surface on this YouTube channel. That doesn't really go far, but to those who do catch the movies and enjoy it or want more information, you'll have to come over here. Now this is part 2 to the previous video I've just done regarding Noah. And what I'm doing is making all the connections between religion and physics. And it all comes back to the flat earth physics, astrophysics, astronomy, it's to do with the stars. Is a big one for you. You've got to understand the entire Bible is about the tropical year cycle, the sun's movement through the year, so that you can say the sun's on its journey through the yearly cycle to get to a certain point, which is known as the promised land. And you have to understand what this is and what it all means. I'm the only guy, I think, on this earth that breaks it all down. So, and it's all hidden over here actually, because only the worthy deserve to find the truth. Take that as you will. So, anyway, what we're going to talk about is the celestial motions of the sky and the Earth's magnetic field. So, Noah is like any of the divine beings in the Bible who's replacing the sun. Okay, there's lots of names given to the sun, and they're always using the word S-O-N when it all boils down to S-U-N. Okay, so the flat earth system is here. As if you could look down on it and you could see which way the magnetic field field lines curve and all that. But it's all about the torus, you see. And a toroidal field has a positive and a negative cycle. Okay? And this is where we get into the Ark, the Noah's Ark, being the Milky Way. And the reference to the, I forgot what it was now, in Genesis, is it Genesis? Yes, Genesis, where Noah's sons led to believe, caught Noah in a compromising position, so they went in there and covered him, and then they walked out backwards, something like that. So in the earlier video I basically did a quick version of how that works, so we're going to stretch it out a bit more in this video. So in celestial navigation, they know that the northern hemisphere sky has this cycle out of the north like this, and it is because in the flat earth system, there's the northern hemisphere sky. It's between Cancer, which is, it comes out of the centre here. Everything contracts back into the north and expands out to the south. Everything. That's why we're giants out here, little people back in there. So you've got to understand this plan, this whole image of the flat earth system. So if we take a slice through the middle, you've got this system here. Because there's the centre Arctic, there's the centre Arctic. Well, everything comes out of here. This is magnetically locked in our realm, right in the centre Arctic there. We can't get to this dead centre here. It's a circle that we cannot enter. We think we're probably in there because it's about mirrors. There's a trick there. If you want to know more about this mirror, the tricks of the ancient Phoenician mirrors, there's a good video on YouTube. A pile of videos have come out recently. I don't know. It's reality. It's all been hidden from us, and it's all coming out all at once. Like AI might have helped create it, but it's the truth that's been hidden from us. And this guy narrating it, or whatever, who's running the thing, they're revealing all the secrets to our realm. They're just giving a skim over there. But they're all touching on the truth. Trust me. Yeah, trust me. The Venetian magnetic mirrors. Anyway, in the north there, it's all about mirrors. It's the ice, the moisture in the atmosphere. And this also takes you back to the movie Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. Well, the dragon is the Milky Way. There's celestial, right? And he's fighting the bad guy, because there's always the good and the bad, fighting the bad guy in this mirrored room. But that goes deep. That could be for another day, okay? Just realise the northern hemisphere sky is here. And it's flat. And it's the ecliptic plane. This is the ecliptic plane. So from there, there's the centre. There's the centre. So imagine all this as the top of the vortex. There's a vortex in here. And the vortex does an S cycle. No matter how big or tall the vortex is, there is only one overall S cycle within it before it shoots back up to the top and comes back down again. Okay? And that's where the story of Superman comes from, and he's up north, right? Well, it's all magnetically locked, but we only see creation. This is creation here. We only see its representation in the night sky. Okay? Only at night. So everything in here is cast out into the night sky, the northern night sky. It's mirrored to the south. We're going to leave all that out for now. We're just going to concentrate on the northern hemisphere. And you find most flat earthers with all their silly designs only concentrate on one hemisphere. They have no idea what happens is happening in the southern hemisphere. You'll never get it unless you follow me. But I don't want to confuse everybody today, so we're just going to stick to the northern hemisphere, okay? So these are the magnetic fields that come out of the centre north. So you can imagine a toroidal field, or just get a model. So just concentrate on this being like this for now, okay? It's just the northern hemisphere. And it comes out of the centre north like this, continuously. Okay? Continuously. Now, what happens here, these are magnetic field lines, but you've got to understand a torus field is a positive and a negative field. So let's say if you're looking, then you've got to realise, if you're looking down on the plane, it's one way, it's clockwise in the northern hemisphere. If you're looking down on it from the top looking down, it's a clockwise. But then you take that clockwise and put it straight up above you, and it's anti-clockwise. So you've got to realise it all comes out of the centre vortex in creation there, and looking down on it is clockwise, but up in the sky anti-clockwise. So just imagine we're going to have to be looking down on it, this one. So the field is moving this way. Okay, so there's east to west. And one of these field lines is the conduit, described in religion or esoteric stories, and that's the Milky Way. Okay, so the Milky Way is the core of a vortex where there's nothing going on. That's the low pressure right in the centre of a vortex, and then it comes across here all the way to here. So there's two ends to the Milky Way. There's the female end, and there's the male end. And boom, right there at the near cap is where they both meet, sets the spark off, and you got the sun. And I've told this story many ways. This is just another one. So follow along. If you want to understand all the other ways, you go back and check out my old videos. They're all hidden from you, but if you subscribe, you should be able to find them. And so this is not in our realm, right? But out here is our realm. That's exploded. This is the macrocosm. This in here is the micro. Okay? This is what physics talks about all the time, all that quantum mechanics. It's all in here. And it's exactly what they discover. You know, they try to play ignorant, but they know it all comes from here and can all go back to the size of an apple or almost nothingness. This is an exploded view of what happens right in here, which all boils down to this image, looking down on it. And that image is two half spins, what they call half spins. There's a 360 degree cycle here, and there's a 360 degree cycle here. A 720 degree cycle of an electron. So there's one, believe it or not, that is 360 degrees because it goes like this. So 360 degrees. There's another one to come back up. And so that's the plan view, and then the side view is like this. And of course you've got to complete the cycle, which is like this. And in here is what you've got. You've got a 3D figure 8. Only 3D, once our realm has been created, it's been illuminated to create this 3D 8 figure. Otherwise, up on the plane there, it's just 2D, like this. Okay? So understand that to start with, okay? So the sun, that's pure plasma, we cannot see it, only when it's out in our realm, so it's at the end of the Milky Way. So you've got to imagine this Milky Way here, it is this here. The other half goes down inside the vortex. So the Milky Way swings around the Earth. That's the clock arm, and you can say that's the clock face. So you can imagine the clock face as being stars, because the backdrop is nighttime. It's just the Milky Way and sun sweeping across it. So and you've got to realise that the sun is slightly quicker. So it's moving across the stars, chewing up the rear end of the stars by nearly 4 minutes a day. So the next night, that gap, this conduit is left behind it, you obviously get 4 minutes of stars filling in that void. So the next night, oh, the stars are quicker because they turned up 4 minutes earlier. It's the globe theory, right? So anyway, this is the magnetic field. So think of this, but like I say, a toroidal field has a positive and a negative field. So let's say I've gone and drawn this as the positive field, so we're going to use the red as the negative. So then you've got to go like this. And everyone knows this is basically a toroidal field. You start drawing a lot more lines. Let's draw a lot more lines, shall we? Draw a few more black ones. You go on this. Look, you got this Torus. That's only one. No one understands it's dual. Our whole realm is a dual. Okay, but I'm the only guy that talks about that sort of stuff. Now, we're going to start going a bit deeper. So I'll start with my little list here. The two motions of the star rotations. I've done that. Well, not star rotation. But we've got the two motions, right? So you've got to understand the sun is in this Milky Way, right? Because the sun that created the sun is in here. It's been created there. It's in the Milky Way. Well, we're getting the image out here. So you've got to imagine this arm swinging around our northern hemisphere. Forget the mirrored south. So anywhere in this conduit here is an image of the sun for any latitude. Everybody sees their own image of the sun, because it's a projection. It's not a physical item. It's a projection. Even though you get photographs like triple crow, 777 crow, whatever they call themselves, that's because you're in our realm where the frequencies have to create an image. It doesn't mean it's physical. And that's another story about what you're seeing, and it's all splattered through religion. They knew thousands and thousands of years ago what the sun looked like. How did they know? Because they weren't dumb like we've been taught. We're the dummies, some of us. We think we're a freaking modern man, and it's just rubbish. Just ignore all that. We go move in cycles. They were way more intelligent than us before us. It just keeps going in waves. And the whole realm is based on waves, sound waves. So there you have the sun sweeping around the earth during our day. But the opposite, the negative field, is in reverse. Okay? So you've got to realise, at night, the Milky Way is opposite. It's coming this way. Sweeps around the earth this way. But the sun's in here, right? So the sun has to be facing in the opposite direction. I know you're going to find that hard to visualise, but don't just assume that the sun's going to be looking that way. So, at a certain time of the day, you're going to have the sun this side, and the darkness this side. Doesn't work like that. It's this positive and negative thing. Okay, but you've got to realise this now becomes this galactic bulge becomes the back of the sun, because the sun is tucked into the Milky Way. At this point here, it's tucked in. Oh, that's a bit dead. It's tucked into the Milky Way, and call it the kneecap. It's just tucked in here like this. And here you got the black hole behind it, the back of the kneecap. It's tucked in like this, like an eye in the socket or an egg in a nest. And this is why Jesus was born in the manger. What's the manger? A long trough, the Milky Way. Jesus, the sun. Okay? But at the same time, there's a parallel story about the promised land. What happens when the sun gets to the promised land? Who then becomes this Jesus? Okay? That's what religion's all about. So now you've got to understand that the Milky Way is swinging across your horizon like this. Opposite. Now, I've gone and ruined the image now. Let's wipe it out and go back to the original, okay? Understand the torus field, okay? Now, in the globe model, imagine that as the black hole centre. The field's coming out. Okay. Now, in the globe bally BS, so you've got to imagine the observer's here, 1 minute, during the day, and then you've got to think of the opposite, so he'll be over here at night. Okay? But the field is always moving like this, but then you've got to realise, well, hang on, that's the positive field. You've got to understand the negative field at the same time. So it's curving this way, right? But look, you've got this going on. You've got this thing going on that's opposite. It's the yin and the yang, right? You know the yin and the yang, you got your frickin' thing there and that there. Well, there's your two observers there, 180 degrees opposed to each other. Now keep that in your mind. I'm just going to try and show you it with this model I've got here. So in the globe theory, there's your tilted ball Earth, right? So it's the Earth that's turning, not the sky. So it's tilted like this, so it's tilted like that, so which means it's the December solstice. Now I've forgotten what I was going to do here now. I've got to try and think. Well, okay. Hopefully it'll come to me. Okay. So you've got to imagine the curving magnetic field like this on the sun side. So this is representing the sun, okay? And the Earth's turning like this. so that this, we assume the whole night sky is going this way, which is correct. This Earth is fixed and stationary as a flat plane. Okay, but this is their globe model. So the Earth is turning instead of this going around like this. So their model would have this curving field go like this. Sort of like the way they have the sun fly around the Earth flying around the sun. It stays on that one tilted axis like this as it swings around like that. Okay. So this is one season here, December, but when it's over this side, look, it's now the northern season. Okay, so it's always just moving on that one axis, that one tilt. So you've got to imagine they've got their magnetic field working like that too. So the magnetic field swings around and doesn't change. It stays like that. So on this side of the Earth, look, it's curved this way in towards you, as opposed to the sun curving this way. So it's opposites, isn't it? That's how they want you to think it is. But in the true flat Earth system is this toroidal two-way field. Now I've forgotten what I was going to show then. This field in here, the S curve, this motion, is a spiral motion. See the S curve? It's a spiral. So it's doing the spiral feature through the day. Obviously you only see it at night. And how things come over man's arc of horizon. This is his arc of horizon. They want you to think you live on a ball when it's only, this is your one perspective of the universe around you. You don't see two at once. You can never have two to make a 360. You only see 180 at a time as it's moving over you. But you can't see day and night at the same time. Well, they get a glimpse of it on the horizon, obviously. Now, I've wandered off and found all these other connections, which is what normally happens if I stop and prepare for these videos, and then I start losing exactly what I'm trying to explain, which is what I've done now. I've forgotten. I had it quite clear until I wandered off on the Dracula story. The Dracula story is about the physics of the Earth and the promised land. Okay, we might get into that one day. Anyway, I've just about lost it, so hopefully you've made some connections here about the toroidal field, positive and negative fields, okay? So it's understanding the 180 degree opposites. So I'm sorry about that, but let's move on. You might be able to make some other connections. Okay, so anyone can check on this. Well, they can't actually. They can't. We do not see the Milky Way during the day, obviously, but you've got to understand the magnetic fields coming out of the Earth, and the Sun is in the Milky Way. And then you have the opposite field, which you can see at night. The Milky Way is curved the opposite way, and the galactic center. If you're into astrophotography, otherwise you can't see that galactic center. Is the bright white light, and this takes you into a lot of mythological stories, specifically the New Zealand one, the Maori one, where they came and discovered New Zealand as the big long white cloud, and all the Maoris, they're all ignorant to the deeper meaning and understanding of the story, because it's all these mythological stories are all celestial, just like the religious stories. They're all the same, and it's all astrophysics. And they're talking about the long Milky Way, because in the southern hemisphere we get a really good image of the Milky Way, and it's the long white cloud. And when they put all the puzzle pieces together, they'll start understanding it. And one day I'll write a book with break down all the Maori mythological stories, what the foundation of them, where does it really come from. And so you've got the southern hemisphere, the South Island of New Zealand. They considers the waka, which is like the Egyptian, the solar boat. So it's the Milky Way that contains the sun, the back of the sun, the solar boat you see at night. and then you've got Stewart Island, and you've got the North Island of New Zealand. The whole three working with the story. It's like a trinity there, right? So some versions say, Maui was in the Waka here, pulled up the north with his hook. But we won't go there. And the Stewart Island, it all ties it together and connects the pruning hook in the religion in the Bible with it. It's all about the southern hemisphere. This whole mythological story of the New Zealand is about the southern hemisphere. Let's move on. Right, the separation. The separation of the fields. Why am I bringing that into it? Well, you've got to understand the two hemisphere star cycles, and when they're completely separated. I don't know why I wanted to mention that. Can't remember. See, I've wandered off so much. The magnetically locked microcosm as opposed to our macrocosm. So I've gone over that. The spider web and celestial navigation, we've done that. Celestial navigation, they explain all this when you're following the stars, how they do this. You've got to realise all the northern stars is basic. They are circumpolar. At a certain time of the year, you've got the southern hemisphere stars come up and start overlaying. They come right up to here. This is the forming of the constellation, changing of the constellations. Okay, right up to there, and then comes back to the Physica Piscis, then carries on, bang, complete separation. I'm the only guy on the internet who is telling you only at this point is when you see the sun pop up above the horizon in Antarctica, and that is the 17th of October. Okay, Phoenix rising. Dual system. Phoenix rises out of the centre here, the two-headed eagle or whatever. I know what I'm talking about. This is why they like to hide my channel. So if people don't share it, no one's ever going to find the truth. Okay. They won't let me sign up to Rumble, although I've got an account there. I can't even get in now. I got off Facebook. Now they won't even let me get on to Messenger. Re-sign up for Messenger. And the YouTube channel, you look at the number, it hasn't moved for a whole year. They've frozen it. So now and then I'll get someone passing through. I don't know how they find it. But where's the 9,500 subscribers? Whatever happened to compounding interest? That theory? I can't understand that. Positive and negative fields between day and night, we've done that. Now, Noah in the Ark. So making the connection with Noah in the Ark. Well, where's the Ark? I just showed you the Ark. There's the Ark. There's the Ark. Noah's the son in the Ark. I'll just read a little bit off the Bible here. It says here, chapter 7, Genesis 7, and the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark. So all the celestial bodies concerning this event are all being caught up in the Milky Way, right? For thee have I seen righteousness before me in the generation. So it's all about the promised land. So Noah's is obviously the character or the initiate who makes it to the promised land. And the whole Bible's about the promised land, and just lots of different stories. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens. And it's all about seven, and it's connected to, you've got 7 chakras, to help you raise your kundalini to get there, because it's all about getting up your mountain, getting this right with the heart, the balance between mind and the heart. But it's all, you got to think of it celestially as well. So the moon always gives you 1/7 to complete the whole event. That's all over here, if you want to understand all that stuff. Clean beast thou shalt take to D by 7, the male and his female. It's all about the male and female. A dual realm is finding equilibrium between the two. Man finding his lost Lilith, the feminine aspect hidden within him under the veil. And of beasts that are not clean by 2. They're referring to the celestial bodies of each hemisphere, because each hemisphere has its own celestial cycle, mirrored from the other. And they have to find this pairing at the right time, the time of the promised land. And all these people in the promised land are named the Israels, and male and female. Of fowls also of the air by 7s, blah blah blah, forget all that. We get down here. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of the waters was upon the earth. Well, 600 years old. I had that too and I've forgotten. 600 years old. 600 years old. So you've got to understand, like I said, did I mention it? That the Bible's all about the journey of the sun. I have, haven't I? So 600 years. Well, I had that as clear as anything, but just before I was to make the video. 600 years. Well, you look up the etymology of the word years. I've lost that now because I'm onto Dracula there on the screen. Look up the etymology of the word years and you come to, it basically refers to the seasons, cycles and seasons. And that's what the whole story is all about, to find this promised land. Where is it? To get to the tree of life. And you've got the Greek version of it, which is, and then the Latin. So one of them is Horu and the other one Hora or something, which connects to the Egyptian Horus. Horus of the two horizons. 180 degrees opposed to each other, okay? And that's what this is all about too. 180 degrees opposed to each other. And he's at the right time in the alignment, celestial alignment of the 180 degrees. And this takes you to the zodiac symbol, where what's happening here has to align with what's over here across the zodiac. So the heliacal rising of what's going on over here, and then what's going down at the same time on the night side. It's all to do with that. And then, so I've lost that, and then it took me into the Dracula story. The whole Dracula story is telling the same thing. So yeah, I'm probably lost everybody already by now. This is what happens when I try to prepare for the video. So I just got off the top of my head, I just stick to the one thing. Oh, here we go. Etymology of year, timing and cycle, season. The tropical cycle of the sun's journey. Ring a bell? Journey? Well, how many journeys, how many stories of journeys? You've got the Sumerian one. King is Enki, and what's his face? Got that one. You got the King Arthur. So Greek, you got Hora. Latin, we have Hornus. Egyptian, we have Horus of the horizons. So yeah, timing and cycle equals season. It's all about the alignment, a celestial alignment, 180 degree opposites, which takes us to the zodiac and constellations. That's that, and you got the Dracula. So the shutter. Yeah, look at the Google logo thing. Whatever, I think it's a Google one, where they have this, and they have the shutter in the middle here. And then you think of, some of you might have seen the Ken Wheeler videos where he's showing this. It sort of goes like this. And this is basically what it does. The field comes out of the north like this. The shutter there opens and closes in there, black hole center. Now, I had a really good representation with this in that flipping golf ball, and I've forgotten how to explain it. But you'll probably get the positive and negative field of the toroidal field, and realise the night backdrop is the negative field, the positive is the sun coming through. And it's all about the nodal points, and this is why they call it the net. Because the ether is basically the net. There's another thing when they talk about ether from the earth. Everything is coming off the earth. Ether. Haven't got that on my mind either. But just think of the earth as being a magnet, the ring magnet, and that's the magnetic flux that comes off the earth. Well, that flux is the ether. Okay? I'll leave it at that. Sorry guys, I might do another video later, but hope you got your head around that one. Catch you later. Thanks very much for watching.